Hey everybody, this is Charles Warner with Cannabis Tech Today and Cannabis Tech Talks. We are excited to bring you Behind the Badge tour with the Broken Lizard guys for Super Troopers 3. We're going to sit down and chat with them. We're going to talk to them a little bit about technology. We're going to talk to them about cannabis, and we're going to talk to them about the creativity that goes into a project like this. So sit down, strap yourself in, and get ready because it's about to start right meow. Hey guys, Charles Warner, Chuck,
right?
As we discussed.
I know you as Chuck.
Chuck, Nick, yeah?
Chuck, Nick.
One syllable names here. We're super excited to be talking to you about Super Troopers 3. Man, it seems like we were actually watching the first Super Troopers and we were thinking about how much time has passed and how the world has changed and everything. It's amazing how you guys haven't lost your fastball. You guys are still just as funny as hell. And I was just wondering if you could tell our audience a little bit about the creative process going into making Super Troopers 3. Like what you guys were envisioning.
I mean, you know, NYPD Blue made about 200 episodes of that show, so we figured we could definitely make a, single-digit number more of these. And our process is basically, I mean, in this case, we already know who the main characters are.
Yeah.
So you're just trying to put them into, compelling, interesting situations. So, a lot of movies were creating the characters out of nothing. I mean, look, there's a little bit of weed smoking that happens at the beginning. We tend to smoke sativa, even though last night, Steve and I were told that that's a myth. That's a scientific myth between sativa and indica, right? And he and I looked at you and goes, I don't know if I believe that.
I think that's a bunch of bullshit.
Anyway, there was some weed scientist said that. And I'm like,
listen, you go to a dispensary, there are a lot of different types of weeds and edibles, and they all do different things. So, and I believe in that, and I have experienced that. So when I was told that it all goes to the same place, essentially, I was by some experts, I was like,
yeah, we didn't buy that.
that's bullshit.
Yeah. But anyway, we smoke, we make jokes, and then as we start to sort of find out what we're really going to do, then we kind of stop smoking and get organized from a outline perspective, and then we kind of crank through it.
Yeah, at some point we figured out like being high is the best for the riffing, but for like just structural things and storytelling things, if you're high, you can't get the like nuts and bolts of storytelling done. So I think we've kind of finally cracked the code of like what work is best on sober, what work is best on high.
Well, the really funny thing is like, in terms of like our creative process, the early stages are us just sitting down and throwing out ideas. Good, bad, it doesn't really matter.
There is no wrong.
There is no wrong. And a bunch of people will have notepads, writing things down. Eventually, like it's kind of one guy becomes the point man. If you're like being high and throwing out great ideas is awesome.
Yeah.
Being the point man and being high and trying to like keep track is a terrible job. Because then you're just overwhelmed and you're like, at a certain point, it's just like, there's all these words on the paper. Your penmanship sucks. You're, flipping through the pages. You also kind of want to get it on the riff, but you can't because you're trying to write everything down. But it's, it's a delightful process.
We've been told we should have a stenographer, and that makes sense on paper, but like kind of hard on the vibe when you've got somebody, court reporter or whatever. So we have to do it ourselves. So that's the thankless job, is being that guy trying to write it all down. Yeah.
Do you guys, do you feel like you're kind of always ideating? Like, even when you're not, working together on a thing, like, you'll just, like, do you have a notepad or do you have somewhere like where an idea just hits you at a random time and especially if you're smoking weed, that if you don't write it down, it might be gone.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, of course.
It's nonstop. I mean, the idea machine is just nonstop.
Yeah.
And you just put it in your phone.
That's cool.
Under whatever, book, movie, specific movie, TV show, stand-up, whatever.
But we also used to like, we'd get together, we have our like set writing session. Okay, at 8 o'clock, we're gonna get together, we're gonna work for 3 hours, and then we'd go out afterwards. And when you're out, you're not even really thinking about work and you're riffing about other stuff. And that actually might be something that you're like, oh, the thing we were talking about, that could be funny. Or like, look, we made Super Troopers 3, now we're on the road, we're sitting in the back of a van together and on airplanes together for hours on end, just shooting the shit and not thinking about work at all. And so many funny jokes come out of that. which is, I think, the most like surprising and delightful part of the process.
I think one of the things that I really liked about this movie, amongst everything, was the dialogue. Like, is writing dialogue as easy as every other part of making a movie? Because it seems like you guys are just, your timing, the way you go, it feels like supernatural. Not like ghost supernatural, but like really natural. Can you just speak to that a little bit? How you guys get that dialogue down? Because it's,
you know, like the best comedies are set on a actual exact rhythm. And so everything has to fit the right rhythm. And if somebody pauses too long, you have to have them take the pause out, or you cut away and take the pause out. It's exactly like a song in the sense, if you get off rhythm, it can ruin the joke.
We also try to do a lot of drafts. When you do the drafts, you're always kind of hone the dialogue, right? It's like, oh, this page needs something here, this page needs something there. And so you'll kind of focus on trying to improve your lines, and make things, I think make lines feel more memorable. And then, once we have the page, then we start rehearsing. And then you start throwing more stuff out, and you hone it, and you improve the dialogue more. And I think then once we get on set, we're so comfortable with each other that it just feels more natural.
Right, like 90% of the dialogue exists because we acted it out in the writer's room together. So we are, riffing and improvising in the writer's room. So then I think that's why the dialogue just sounds like the way guys talk to each other.
Yeah. How has it changed when the first one came out? I think it was like about 20 some years ago, right? Was it 2001?
All right, you're in high school. Tell us that.
Okay.
You're in high school then,
no,
right?
a little earlier. I had just gotten out of high school, just getting out of the Army. I mean, back then, cannabis was super taboo. And nowadays, like, I think it's legal in like 35, 40 different states in one form or another. Does that change a little bit, the storytelling or the plot devices?
I mean, R-rated movies require rebellion. And so when weed became legal, it was no longer rebellious to have characters smoke it.
Yeah.
So you had to kind of up it to mushrooms or acid or cocaine or whatever it is.
But it's true, I think the core beauty of the opening scene of the first Super Troopers is the terror that those guys are experienced of getting busted. And I don't know that young people now freak the fuck out like that because of the fact that it's normalized and legalized. So it is weird the way that pot culture has changed the way that you can write pot comedy.
Yeah, it's almost like what you were saying about the indica sativa thing. Now it's become so niche, and so everybody, you're a ganja sommelier now and everything like that. And back then we were just hoping to get something that was actually weed in a little
right.
thing,
Not nutmeg.
It's funny because we did a show here at the Denver Comedy Works right when weed had been legalized in Colorado, and we were doing the meet and greet line, and there were real police officers for security, and people were coming up in front of them and handing us weed, and we were like, stop, 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 stop. And looking around, the cops were like, I don't fucking care.
The cops went,
yeah,
which was such a funny period of time when that transition was happening.
Yeah.
So I still think if you're high, whether or not it's legal, and you're getting pulled over by cops, there's going to be a certain amount of freaking out. So maybe we just have to
even if you're not high, people freak out.
That's the truth.
When they see the rollers,
even when you don't get pulled over.
Yeah.
When you see a cop by the side of the road.
Even if you don't see a cop.
It could be a goblin in the trees that you see. That
could be a supernatural cop.
Yeah,
supernatural. Right. You guys obviously probably have a big fan club, not just of of your guys' work, but of the police. There's probably a lot of police officers out there, cops or whatever, that are like, you guys are our jam, man. You guys are pretty cool. Which one have they said looks most like a cop?
That's funny, yeah.
They always say to me they have a guy that looks like me in their station.
And there is, when you're on the internet and you inevitably see that story about the dumb shit cop who did the super dumb shit thing in that one town, it's inevitably a guy who looks exactly like Farva.
Yeah.
But that's the funny thing about it, and we talk about this all the time, is when we go and do these live shows and do things like this, there's a huge, amount of the audience are cops.
Yeah.
But the other half of the audience is all stoners.
Yeah.
And so it's really a funny thing to look out into the crowd and you'll see the cops with the mat and the thing, and then the stoners, and they're all laughing at the same jokes. It's always
Laughing
a very
together,
bring America together.
holding
Right
hands.
there.
No, it is. It's really not something we expected when we wrote it, and it's such a cool thing to be stopped by cops everywhere. I think what's funny though is the only place where state police don't like us is in Vermont, and I think that's because that they just get it constantly now, and I think because they're just the only ones who are like, yeah, I know who you guys are.
But I think we should do is like, you hear about those things that are like, oh yeah, there's a festival of Ryans happening in the city, and it's like anybody named Ryan, and there's like 500 of them at some festival. It's amazing to me how many Farva lookalikes there are in America.
Farva Festival?
We should have Farva
Sounds
Fest.
like a Farva Fest.
Yeah. There are
Like a
so many
parade.
Farvas.
I don't think anyone will want to go to that though.
No.
Right? Like as a non-Farva.
I won't be attending.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Oh, I'm not saying we have to go to it. It's
You
like
have to go.
I know, but it feels like you're saying,
Grand Marshal, you're the Grand Marshal.
yeah, I mean, you're the
Wouldn't
host.
it feel powerful to like look out into a crowd of 1,000 Farvas?
I might not like what's looking back at me. I don't know.
You could mobilize them and do your bidding. They would all get
My minions.
Yeah. You could,
Do you guys ever, when you're playing your parts, does it ever like bleed over into, sometimes you tap into a little of your own personality to throw in there because obviously you're not like Farva, but you're
No,
pulling
yes,
that
he
from
is.
somewhere.
No, yes, he is. Yes, he is. I was telling a story yesterday, like when we made Super Troopers 1, the rest of us, when we wrap for the day, the rest of us are like normal dudes. We're just partying, hanging out. But we would sit in the motel rooms and look over, and here's this guy in the corner, still with his sunglasses on, still chewing gum. And you're like, can you fucking give us a break for 1 second from this character? But he couldn't do it. He was just Farva.
It does happen sometimes. I think that happened at that rap party in Super Troopers 2. Remember that? We were at that place and I just started making fun of you for your crappy mustache.
Dude, you want to talk about the rap party for Super Troopers 2?
I don't think you do.
I don't think you do.
No, but
I don't think you do.
It was a very kind of Farva channel thing.
Let me put it to you this way. The rap party for Super Troopers 2 ended with all of us in IHOP. And him out there leaning on the top of a car, not moving, us just looking at the window, laughing at him. And then cut to a little while later, him asleep in the back of the car and us screaming at him all of the time. Like he'd been making fun of Jay for having a toy poodle. And Jay was like, "Who's the fucking toy poodle now, motherfucker?" And he was calling me Squirt Reynolds, and I was like, "Who's Squirt Reynolds now, motherfucker?"
Don't have any memory of that.
So let's talk tech real quick. Is there any kind of tech that you guys absolutely love in your life? Whether it's your phone, any kind of AI, like just anything at all that you
Do you have a
find
real doll?
is helpful.
I got a robot. I got a sex robot, a sex dwarf robot, which we could talk
Are
about
they
that
cheaper?
Half off. I'm trying to think. Who's the techiest of us?
I don't know. You?
I like AI.
Yeah.
You like AA, but you didn't have a Claude account or a ChatGPT account as of yesterday.
I got ChatGPT yesterday
Nice.
and started plugging different hairdos on Willie Nelson, which was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's a good counter to the narrative of like AI replacing creativity, because admittedly, like it became like that's a riff that we would have had before of like, holy shit, what would Willie Nelson look like if he had a mohawk? Ha ha ha! Holy shit, what if he had male pattern baldness? But now that riff was okay. We make that joke. He types it into his fucking phone, and then a second later, he's got a picture of Willie Nelson with male pattern baldness, and we're like, screaming. So, I guess we should embrace it. Yeah.
I'm not worried about AI. Like everyone was like, "Oh, AI is going to start writing scripts," and we typed in like, "Write us an episode of Tacoma FD."
Yeah.
A few years back, and it basically gave us the pilot episode, but with no jokes.
Okay.
It was like a new firefighter comes to the station, and they give her a hard time. And we're like, "That's the pilot we wrote, but with jokes." So like, I was like, all right, I'm not really threatened by that because it's never going to come up with new jokes, right? It can't go out with us and riff and come up with the meow scene.
It can't get high. When AI can get high, then maybe we're in trouble.
Can AI get high?
Ah.
And would AI be faking being high, or would the robot actually be like, I'm high?
Would AI prefer a sativa or an indica?
Oh my God.
Depends on the time of the day
I
and
think
what the
you're
mood
right.
is.
We're onto something here. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm super excited for everybody to see this movie. Can you just leave the audience with one last thought on Super Troopers 3, what you hope they take away from the experience?
Well, the movie, I'll just give you a little synopsis of
Okay.
it real briefly. So, in the movie, my sister's coming up to visit me. It's played by Hannah Simone from New Girl. She's bumped by another car off the road and almost dies, but Fargo happens to be in the area, saves her. And my sister suffers from something called Putzfimmel syndrome, where she falls in love with her savior. And so the movie is about these two trying to get married, and my parents are coming up for a potential wedding, and I'm trying to stop it. That's sort of one of the big plots of it. So it's like Meet the Parents, meet Super Troopers.
So it's all the same like style of comedy and all the same dynamics that people have seen. I think it's just expanding out into a little more of comic situations that aren't necessarily on the road kind of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of putting us in new territory, wedding stuff, family stuff.
But it's also just revisiting kind of the good old-fashioned rated R comedy. You know what I mean? I think we haven't had those rated R comedies in the theater in a long time, and we're hoping to bring that back.
Yeah?
It was nice. The test screenings with the packed theaters and people laughing together was really refreshing to see, and it's the way it should be.
Sadly, meow, we have to go.
There you
But
go.
I want to thank you guys for your time. And again, congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
really a
Good.
funny movie, and I think people are going to dig it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Josh.
That's a wrap.
Good work, guys. Good work. The microphone pick it all up, guys?